Hello. Welcome to the 7th part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my channel members for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Tower Master appears in front of them. He sees Andreas and says, his son really has that unchanging stupid face. Andreas thinks, Bark Alvin, head of the Alvin household and the current master of the Rodland Magic Tower. Isn't the Tower Master blowing thing out of proportion by appearing personally? Tower Master says, and you are Viscount Hollington's daughter, I presume? Lucia says, yes, my name is Lucia Everlast. He says, if you want people to remember your name, you have to build a reputation to match. Andreas is really surprised and thinks, we heard you. Tower Master says, from now on, I will be the one in charge of this. Stand back. A really big magic circle appears under them. Lucisa says, this Tower Master really is a monster, being able to use such difficult and complex space magic, but it feels like he's exaggerating on purpose. Tower Master says, I can also hear you, you whippersnappers. They appears in front of some judges. They are really surprised to see him, and says, Tower Master. He says, is the potion examination still going on? They say, yes, we just finished the efficacy examination. All that's left is to ask some questions about the production method. Tower Master drinks the potion. He says, Mohem leaves, Tador tree essence, Jahaz fruit, and Peona mushroom. Is there anything else in there? Lucia says, Hong Pishi extract and Matarata root bark. He says, interesting. Judges says, I heard the rumors, but to think she could make such potions at her age. Tower Master says, since the examination is now over, approve it. Tower Masters say, but why is Cromwell's son here? On paper this was reported as a joint effort, but he just got carried, didn't he? Lucia says, without him, I wouldn't have been able to create the potion. Tower Master says, you wouldn't? She says, that's right. Most of the work was done by him. I only helped out. Tower Master says, fine. I will verify this now. Lucia says, it seems like you can't use this magic outside of the magic tower. Andrea says, she's analyzing it even now. They get to the research facility. He says, make the potion right here. The ingredients are in the storage. Andrea says, understood. Andrea thinks, if I use something I didn't use before there could be a problem, so let's go with this one. 5 minutes later, Tower Master tests the potions and says, I'll acknowledge that you created the potion correctly. Now, let's start with the questions. Why did you use Hong Pishi? Andrea says, well, I used it to get rid of the side effects and to improve its efficiency. Lucia thinks, so, Senior Seaweed can explain it well, too. Tower Master says, I understand you needn't go on. Andrea says, I didn't finish explaining it, though. Tower Master removes his blindfold and says, even though we haven't seen each other for quite a long time, the brat I knew couldn't have made something like this. He looks at him and says, who are you? Tower Master Sazi, are you joking, Sir Alvin? I am definitely Andreas Cromwell. The same Andreas you treated like a bug and made fun out of it all the time. Master says, you have become quite the interesting lad, haven't you? All right, let's make a bet. If you discover another medicine this year and bring it here, I will pay off all of the Cromwell family debt, and I will grant you one wish. However, if you fail, you will have to leave Rodland's academy. Well, what do you think of it? Andreas thinks the conditions are harsh, but Andreas says, I will accept this bet. As the heir of the Cromwell family, I cannot possibly refuse such an offer. Tower Master says, let's hope you actually produce results, seeing that you are so confident. Tower Master thinks of them when they were kids. He says, I'll be looking forward to it. Remaining this is decreasing. The vampire gets up. She easily breaks the cage. She thinks of Andreas saying, however, you will have to swear on your family name that you won't kill me. She smiles and says, Andreas. Cromwell Scroll of Information, Great Sins World Outlook. Stormbringer, a spiritual monster with high intellect. Can control lightning and wind even in the game. Having one as your pet was an incredibly difficult task. Andreas thinks, I got back some of the material costs, so my need for money has decreased a bit. As long as I keep making potions, I'll be able to solely focus on my training. The problem right now is the Page of Sloth. No matter how much I think about it, I can't find a way to benefit from it. I should probably exchange it for something I need right now. It can't be helped. I'll have to use Sharon. He gets back to the academy. He alone someone is watching him from above a tree. Am I imagining things? Vampire is watching him. Andrea's meet with Sharon. Sharon says, the hot topic of the academy is finally visiting me. Is this the potion? Andrea says, yes, I came to report to you right after the final examination ended. You've been researching it in secret from me, and now you're acting like a real disciple. I wasn't planning to master. Sharon says, shut up. Now come here without complaining. I'll engrave into you what it means to be my disciple. Andreas thinks he's holding a grudge because of something so trivial. How stingy. Looks like I can't bring the topic up today. Talking to him while he's in a bad mood is a no-go. I should be satisfied with just checking the vampire's condition. His hole is lit on fire. Andreas thinks, seems like the evolution was a success. It's a pity we won't be able to meet her anymore. She was a nice sample. Sharon is really angry, he says. Andreas says, yes? He says, did you do something to Angela's restraints? Andreas says, no, I was scared for my life. Andreas thinks, what an idiot. Even though she was just a hybrid. Servers, you're right. Sharon gets really angry. Andreas thinks, I'll bring up the page of sloth another day. Vampire gets there and says, Andreas thinks she was waiting to ambush me. She says, I've had something to ask you ever since I woke up. Care to answer? She says, look at me. Andreas, good, child. Now tell me about the power I got. Andreas says, why are you doing this? Didn't I keep my word? You should know the price of breaking the oath of your family name. She says, I know it all too well, but I can't help but to ask you something. I couldn't break free from he restraints with my own strength, no matter how much I tried. So I used another way. Do you know what it is? What was the amazing method I used? She thinks, why is this guy giving off that smell? It's just like the great sin of. She says, I finally see what it is. How interesting. Andres says, what the hell are you saying? She grabs him through the neck and says, there are lots of things I want to ask you, but since this place is too noticeable, I'll stop for now. Since we'll be meeting again pretty soon. For the time being, I'll be putting this power to good use. And since you helped me, I can't help but want to thank you. Andreas thinks, what is this strength? She says, don't worry. I won't make you suffer. Since you may be my fated partner. Cromwell Information Scroll. Great Sin World Overview. Drop materials. When the Great Sin was a game, only useful items dropped. However, since the game has now turned into reality, I have to deal with the raw material myself, and that makes the processing and mixing much more difficult. The 7th part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.